It's time for Baby and Toddler Instructions with host Blythe Lipman. Blythe is a nationally renowned infant and toddler expert who has over 30 years' experience helping moms and dads regain their sanity, teaching them how to survive, and giving them the confidence they need to be the best parents ever. From sleeping to crying to potty training to choosing a preschool and so much more. If you're a parent, Baby and Toddler Instructions is the show you've been looking for. Now here's your host, Blythe Lipman.
Well, good morning, afternoon, evening. Thanks for tuning in to Baby and Toddler Instructions. If you're listening live today and have questions, you can call us at 877-864-4869, or you can go to the chat line on toginet.com and type your question, but love callers. And if you're not listening live, you can always contact me via mybestparentingadvice.com. If you want to be a guest on the show or you have a question about something we talked about, please contact me, mybestparentingadvice.com. My guest this morning is Dr. Ryan Wilk from Rhino Family Chiropractic, and he'll be with us in just a bit. We're going to talk all about, should you take your little ones to a chiropractor, or do you just go if you have a backache? If you go to toginet.com and you look at the front page, you'll see my actors where I talked about Dr. Ryan. And anyway, can't wait to talk to him because I have lots of questions. But first, I want to send out my good thoughts and prayers to all of those that have been so devastated by the terrible earthquakes in Nepal, the aftershocks, and the avalanches on Mount Everest. And you know what? Also to those people that did absolutely nothing in Baltimore and they got hurt. I mean, it just makes me want to cry when I hear about people hurting each other. And then you think about all those people in India that, had no control. And there was a video on, I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, with one of the moms in Baltimore. She was basically hitting her child because she was so upset that he was doing this terrible destruction. There was looting and everything. You know what? Terrible. Take a breath, everybody. We're so lucky. We have so many wonderful things in life. You know what? You have to fill yourself with gratitude each day. But anyway, I want to send healing energy to those that are suffering and help if I can. So I hope you do the same. Let me tell you, there was one recall this week. It was Roberta Roller Rabbit children's pajama sets. It said they failed to meet the federal flammability standards for children's sleepwear, posing a risk or burn injury to children. And I said this before, I thought they straightened this out with these companies about the way they're making things. But anyway, again, if you go to my website, mybestparentingadvice.com, go to the recall page. I've already put the contact numbers on there. So if you have Roberta Roller Rabbit, children's pajamas, look at your tags, take them off your kids. You know what? You never want to take a chance. We want to keep our little ones safe. And speaking of that, a mom left her 2-month-old in the car here in Arizona. Now, we're going to be 100 degrees supposedly tomorrow. It takes not very long for the car to heat up. And again, this happened last week. Somebody did it. A dad did it, and they charged him. I believe they're going to charge this mom. I mean, no, I'm going to say this again. Nobody ever wants to leave their children in the car unless obviously there's something wrong with them. And here is my tip. When you have a baby, in a car seat, and you're rushing or whatever, get in the habit, take off your left shoe and put your shoe next to the baby's car seat. When you stop, God forbid you forgot to drop them off at daycare or something, you are not going to be able to go anyplace without that shoe. So you will remember that your child is in the back seat. Maybe it sounds silly, but it's not, because so many accidents have happened with this, especially in Arizona. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Anyway, this little 2-month-old is fine. They got to him in time, and everything's fine. So let's keep our little ones safe always. There were a couple things I wanted to share with you before I welcome my guest. First, there was a really interesting article in the Science Daily that said MRI shows association between reading to young children and brain activity. Parents get advice all the time to read to their babies early and often. Some parents even read to read when they're pregnant to their babies. I've seen it a lot. Well, this is pretty cool because it says we are excited to show for the first time that reading exposure during the critical stage of development prior to kindergarten seems to have a meaningful, measurable impact on how a child's brain processes stories and may help predict reading successes, says the study author John Hutton. He's from the National Research Service. He's Award Fellow, Division of General Community Pediatrics, Reading and Literacy Discovery Center, and also Cincinnati Children's Hospital. I mean, this wasn't just somebody that was, he knows his stuff. Anyway, it says of particular importance are brain areas supporting mental imagery, helping the child see the story beyond the pictures, affirming the invaluable role of imagination. Professional organizations such as the American Academy of Pediatrics and advocacy groups have encouraged parents to read to their children from birth to foster early learning and create connections in the brain that promote language development. Well, this was so interesting because they actually did an MRI of these children, and it showed the children were awake, they weren't sedated, and it really showed that the activation of specific brain areas supported the processing, meaning the extraction of meaning from language, and these areas are critical for oral language and later reading. Anyway, it becomes increasingly important as children advance from books with pictures to books without them. So keep reading. You know what? Put it in your day. Even if you have a little baby, make it part of your nightly routine before you hug them and kiss them and put them to sleep. Show them a little book. Even little babies like to see pictures, the bright reds, the greens, the yellows. They say that babies respond the best to black and red when they're really tiny. So start doing that. You know what? It's a great habit to get into, and maybe you'll make a reader for life. Nothing better than reading a book. Also, I had another article I wanted to share with you. This was really great, and I know everybody says, I know. This is from whattoexpect.com. It says, toddler exercise, 5 tips to get moving. We all work really hard, and sometimes we don't have time or we're too tired to take our toddlers out to exercise. But according to the National Association of Sport and Physical Education, your toddler should be logging 30 minutes of structured exercise a day. And anything like kickball, tricycle ride, and at least an hour of unstructured exercise, like a session of free play at the park every day. The reasons for this mandate are overwhelming. Kids who are active not only sleep better, that's a plus, isn't it, and are better able to maintain a healthy weight, and they're also happier than the couch potatoes that are watching the videos. Also, what's more, active toddlers are more likely to stave off heart disease, diabetes, some forms of cancer as they get older. So you know what? Not only that, what this didn't say, it's lots of fun. Spring is here. Hopefully the rain will stop, in the middle of our country. You will get some sunshine. If not, put some rain boots on your kids and take them outside and let them run and jump in the puddles. It's only water. You can dry them. Or go outside and kick some balls, take a walk. Build fitness into your day every day. If you can put a little more fitness, for instance, if you can walk to the library if it's not too far, or if you have to go to the mall, take your toddler and walk up the steps, and as you're walking, let them count how many steps there are. There's so many easy ways to get exercise into your toddler's life every day. And also set the right example. I know, again, sometimes we don't feel like exercising, but you know what? No matter what you say to your child, the best way to get your toddler active is to teach him or her the importance of exercise. So, again, you're going to read, you're going to exercise, and you're going to have a great time because I have to tell you, they grow up really quickly. And on that note, we are still on the baby watch and not the royals. For those of you that listen each week, my daughter is going to have her first baby, my first grandchild. Yay! Any minute. So let's hope that baby comes soon because, boy, that last month you're so uncomfortable. Also, I had a lot to share today, before I introduce Dr. Ryan Wilk. I wanted to just share a couple things from Help, My Baby Came Without Instructions, my book, because I always, give you my tips. I wanted to share a couple things from the chapter called What Mommies and Daddies Really Think, Real Answers from Real Experiences. I asked moms, when I first saw my baby, I felt. Mom said, disbelief, couldn't stop smiling, numb, guilty for not having immediate bonding and mother instincts. Amazed and excited. Boy, I wonder what you thought. Also, I asked, when the baby cries, what do? I go through the checklist. Wet, poopy, hungry, gassy, tired, uncomfortable with the outfit, and sing songs to her. If everything checks out, I rock her. I stroke light circles on her back. I swaddle her and place her on top of the running dryer and use a pacifier. Or I call or email Blythe. I love that one. That's the best one. You can always find me if you have any baby or toddler questions, parenting questions that are not medical. My office number is 480-510-1453. We're going to break for a commercial in just a couple minutes, but I'm going to make this a cooking show for 2 seconds because I have to tell you about this great oatmeal I made. If you have little ones that like oatmeal, do the overnight oatmeal. Look on Pinterest or call me. You can call me. You can email me via my website, mybestparentingadvice.com. I made banana, peanut butter, overnight oatmeal, and it's so great because you put it in a crock pot and you let it cook overnight. And when you get up, the house smells so good. Last week I made apple, and it smelled like apple pie in my house. So check out the recipes for overnight oatmeal. It's a great way to start your day. I know this isn't a cooking show, but I'm just so excited about my new oatmeal recipe. And again, check out my website, mybestparentingadvice.com. When we come back from the break, I am going to introduce you to my wonderful guest, Dr. Ryan Wilk. He is from the Rhino Family Chiropractic, and he's just great. He was born and raised in Arizona, and he is the youngest of 4 siblings, and I am going to let him tell you more about himself and how he got into being a chiropractor. And he has some really fun facts to share, which made me smile, and I know you'll love them too. So if you have a question during the show, 877-864-4869. Or if you just want to say good morning. I love callers. Don't be shy, or you can go to the chat line on toginet.com. And you can type in a question. And that's only if you're listening live. If not, you have to go to my website. And by the way, don't forget to check out all the other great shows on toginet.com. We have shows on everything, and you'll love them all. Anyway, we will be right back with Dr. Ryan Wilk.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Have you heard? The pages of American Patchwork and Quilting magazine come to life on our new weekly online radio show, American Patchwork and Quilting. Join Pat Sloan, our blogging and quilt designer host, as she talks about the latest trends, ideas, and inspirations. Her guests include quilt pattern designers, authors, quilt shop owners, and our editors, all quilters, just like you. Call in with your questions. Get quilting tips from industry experts. Learn about free patterns. Hear behind-the-scenes stories from our magazines, American Patchwork and Quilting, Quilt Sampler, and Quilts and More. Get the scoop on free stuff and find out more about the best independent quilt shops in North America. To listen to a live show, tune in Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Just log on to allpeoplequilt.com/radio. To hear past shows, go to iTunes and search for American Patchwork and Quilting Radio. We hope you'll join us because we know that quilting changes everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, tune in every Monday night during the debut episode of Paranoia, Texas at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you will get a chance to win some very cool prizes from McDonald's, Walmart, Geek World, Red Petal Salon, and so much more. All you have to do is listen for the cue, and when you hear this music, call in. That's every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and win those cool prizes.
Welcome to Podcasting by Professionals. My name is Keith with Radio Links Broadcast Marketing, and I am here today to introduce you to 5 top industry pros who will teach you everything you need to know to start your own professional podcast. At the end of the course, we think you'll be well on your way to becoming an expert host of your own show. By the way, please do visit our website. It is podcastingbyprofessionals.com.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I want to introduce you to my wonderful guest. His name is Dr. Ryan Wilk. He's a chiropractor. He was born and raised in Arizona, the youngest of 4 siblings, and being the youngest and having 3 married siblings. He's the uncle to 6 beautiful nieces, and he had a high school sweetheart from the junior year, Jessie, and they've been together ever since. Wow, that's so nice. And they both went to NAU for undergrad degrees, and Dr. Ryan moved to California and received his Doctor of Chiropractic from the Los Angeles College of Chiropractic. Welcome, Dr. Ryan. I'm so happy you can be on the show today. Thanks so much.
Thank you,
How
Blythe.
are you?
Thank you.
How are you this morning in our wonderful weather that's going to be 100 degrees tomorrow?
I'm doing great, heating up just like the weather. Yes, it's going great here.
So let me ask you, before you share your little fun facts, which I just love, did you always want to be a chiropractor?
I have since the end of my high school career. Yeah.
Did you get hurt, or did you go to somebody?
You know, it was one of those things where you have older siblings and they kind of sit you down and you realize that they have a lot of knowledge, and they pushed me to take that next step to further my education and kind of do something with my life that would make a difference. And I had a great discussion with my brother one night, and I actually got on, the old dial-up internet and researched chiropractic for a few hours that night, and just made that decision right then and there that chiropractic was something I was going to pursue.
I think that's great, because I have to tell you, I have been adjusted, not in my brain, in my body. I probably need my brain adjusted too, many times by a chiropractor. And you know what? I think it's so helpful. So you have a couple of fun facts about, do you want to share them, or shall I share them? You have 3 fun facts.
No, absolutely. I'll talk about them. So it wasn't until I got to chiropractic school that I realized some of these things, and as I share these fun facts with you, you'll kind of see where I'm coming from. But I realized at that point that maybe I didn't choose chiropractic, that I was just meant to be a chiropractor. And so I'm learning, I'm in school and I'm learning all these things, and a couple of facts show up. And the first one was that the first chiropractic school was named Palmer College of Chiropractic, and there is actually a building at the original Palmer College of Chiropractic named the Ryan Building. So fun fact number 1, I got my name after a building at Palmer College of Chiropractic, the original birthplace of chiropractic. From there, it even gets more in-depth. So chiropractic was actually founded on my birthday. It's September 18th, and it's 1895. I'm not that old, but September 18th, chiropractic was founded, and it's also my birthday. So that was like the second big trigger that, hey, chiropractic did actually choose me. And then the last one was, it's not as relevant, but in chiropractic, there was a huge trial with the American Medical Association, and the AMA tried to sabotage the chiropractic profession and kind of take it over. But it was called the Wilk trial versus the AMA, and I have no relation to Dr. Wilk, but he, just that name association made me realize. And so, every once in a while I get asked the question, and I don't answer it completely. I kind of just make people wonder if I really am related to him.
Isn't that awesome? Because, so many times, so many of us get these messages, and if we look at our lives, many times we've had these messages in front of our faces, and It's amazing. I mean, I started taking care of babies when I was 11. Who would have known that I would get into this profession? But when I look back, there it was, and I love what I do too, like you do.
Absolutely. It's kind of right in front of your face, and you don't realize it.
No, but
hiding in plain sight, right?
Absolutely. So, let's talk. There's so many questions I want to ask you. I mean, I've had a couple people email me this week, and they asked me about taking a young baby to a chiropractor because, you know, we talk about the journey coming out and their hips and their arms. And, you know, I know you do pediatric, you work with pediatrics and little kids and pregnant women. And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, most of the time it all starts before birth. So seeing moms during pregnancy is something that we see a lot of here, and it just ends up transitioning over into taking care of their kids as well because of the process that we have already been through. You know, maybe it was the last 2 months of pregnancy, maybe it was from month 2. So you create this relationship with mom and get to know the baby as well at the same time, and it just kind of transitions straight over into taking care of the newborn as well. Was there any specific questions that anybody had? Or
well, what
we just kind of go over some basics?
Well, what exactly do you do if a mom brings her newborn to you? You know, they're so soft and pliable, and do they need their arms moved? Yeah, so that's a great question. There's many reasons why a baby can be brought into to see me. It kind of all starts out with the exam, and it's important and crucial to understand how that baby was, the process that they went through with pregnancy, with birth, the birthing process. So the exam kind of starts it all off, make sure we have all the background, all the great information that we need to know. And at our office, we also do what are called spinal scans, and these scans are awesome because they kind of take a look into what's happening inside the body, not just what's happening that you can visually see. You know, since the baby can't tell you anything, they can't tell you what's going on. It's important that we have like a method to figure that out. So we do spinal scans on them, and it's non-invasive. There's no radiation. It's just reading the function of the body. So I think that the basis of everything before they even get checked, before they even get adjusted, is to understand the process and to make sure that they need to be adjusted. It's a critical step into understanding the chiropractic end and whether they need it or not. So we start from there. Let's back up a little bit. Does everybody need to see a chiropractor? You know, chiropractors will tell you one leg's shorter than the other. They'll tell you, you know, there's all kinds of things that chiropractors can see and will tell you. And if you're not a person that understands chiropractic care, you know, we're a little bit leery about, you know, show me. And it sounds like you can really show with your scan. You can say, here, look at this, instead of just saying, yeah, one leg's longer than the other. Or so does everybody need to come in? And does everybody need an adjustment usually? That's
Great
a big question.
The simple answer to that is, excuse me, I believe everybody should have the opportunity to get checked. Whether or not they need to be adjusted is based off of the scans. And so like there's two kind of aspects. We have a functional aspect, which you can kind of see with the structure of the spine. That's why so many chiropractors take x-rays if and when needed. And then there's the functional aspect, which are the scans to make sure that the body is in a state where it can handle an adjustment and that the adjustment will increase the function of the body. So does everybody need an adjustment? The answer is not every time, but everybody should have the opportunity to be checked to see if they need to be adjusted.
You know, that's a great answer because I can remember many years ago, I lived in New Jersey, and I love my chiropractor, but the one thing I hated was when he adjusted my neck. I'm sitting here holding my chin, And he'd turn my head really fast to one side, and you could hear in your ears. I always thought my bones were cracking, which obviously that isn't. I don't think that's what was happening, you know. And it's funny because it always scared me. But I have to say, the many times I visited a chiropractor, I usually was because something hurt. You know, I had my shoulders in my ears too long when I was on the computer or anything, and it always helped. But you know what? It's a little scary if you've never been to a chiropractor.
Absolutely, it is. You know, one of the most powerful things that happens at our office is that time where somebody comes in and actually doesn't need to be adjusted. Whether it's on a re-exam when we realize that their scans are improving so much that they may graduate in care to less frequency, or that time where they come in for their normal adjustment and we check them and everything is still good. Everything is still in its place and the body doesn't need to be adjusted at that time. So that's probably the most powerful thing that can happen at our office. And that happens with kids. That actually happens quite a bit more often with kids because they're able to adapt and they're able to heal much quicker than adults. So that's probably one of the most powerful things that can ever happen.
What is that noise that you hear in your ear, or when is that how you adjust people? Do you hear that noise?
I take a popcorn popper and I put it underneath the table and I just let it go. No, so what the noise is, it's actually within your joint. So your joint has a fluid and it has gas buildup in it. And when the gas bubbles are released, you're going to hear the cavitation or the popping sound. It's just gas being released from a joint.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. That's pretty cool. It wasn't my bones that were cracking in my ear and my neck and it's really funny because, you know, when you do go to a chiropractor, you need to be relaxed. And as I say every week, we're waiting for my daughter to have her first baby, and she visited a chiropractor many times, and I have to say it really helped her because her neck was hurting, and you know, she would just say, I feel so much better, because especially during pregnancy, you have all that extra stress on your body with the extra weight. But we're going to break for commercial in just about 5 seconds. When we come back, I want to talk about chiropractic care and pregnancy and what the Weber method is.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh, I need you.
We'll be right back with more help. For help, my baby came without instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh, I need you.
Familia, faith, identity, tradición. Latina life is never boring, but it can be muy dramática. So how do you coexist between the old school ways of la abuela and the new school life you're creating for yourself without losing your faith, familia, identity, or tradiciones? Welcome to Living Latina with Francesca Escoto, where culture curls and curves collide in one spicy cross-cultural conversation that will leave you begging for más. Francesca tackles all the important issues, from politics to family values, to religion to, you guessed it, relationships and men. As Chief Everything Officer at the Wow Factor, Francesca is passionate about showing women of all cultures, ages, and lifestyles how to rock what they've got with style, sass, and smarts. Be sure to join her every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time for Living Latina, only on the Woohoo Radio Network.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge.
I am not the woman I used to be. I'm free with Minister Diane Jones. Monday nights at 10, 9 Central on TogiNet. This is your chance, ladies, to hear stories of hope and healing from someone who's been there. Someone who has fought back from the horrors of incest. Minister Diane's innocence was stolen from her in the land of alcoholism and mental illness, which led to her being emotionally, physically, and sexually abused by her parents. Yet in spite of this trauma, she has gone on to become a successful wife, mother, registered nurse, and minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Not the Woman I Used to Be, I'm Free is a straight-up show to enlighten you and to lighten your load. Do not let the weight of this world or the things that have happened to you control your life. For more on the show and Diane and her book, The Story of Me, email her directly from her show page here on TogiNet. Then, join us for I'm Not the Woman I Used to Be, I'm Free with Minister Diane Jones. Monday nights at 10, 9 Central on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. If you're listening live and have a question today, you can call us at 877-864-4869, or you can go to the chat line. If you are not listening live, please don't call because I won't be here. Anyway, I am here with my wonderful guest, Dr. Ryan Wilk from Rhino Family Chiropractic. And I have to say, I love going to the chiropractor. You feel so good after you've been adjusted. And what Dr. Ryan said before the break is you don't always need to be adjusted. So I want to ask you, you talk about something called the Webster technique. You use it on expectant moms. What is that?
Yeah, the Webster technique, it's a technique specifically for expecting moms, but the whole protocol can actually be used on anybody. But we focus it on expecting moms at our office, and it really incorporates a few different things. So first thing we have to think about is really the pelvis and the bony structures, so the pelvis and the tailbone. The analysis takes a look at that. And it's also going to take a look at the nervous system. So obviously you have so much nervous system activity going on in the low back, going to the uterus, going to the reproductive organs, that nerve system connection to the baby. It also takes a look at the soft tissue. So it'll take a look at some of the ligaments, such as the round ligament that's attached to the uterus, and as well some of the muscles. So it's an all-encompassing technique to put mom in the most comfortable position possible. So the baby is in the most comfortable position possible. So they have the best pregnancy possible.
Can I ask, can you give a visual of what you do? Do you
Absolutely,
touch the neck? Also, I had another question before you answer that. Do you have a pregnancy table that has the opening, or do you usually adjust pregnant women sitting up? How does that work when they have their belly sticking out?
Yeah, we have, so the tables are great. We have two different things that we can do. The table has a lift piece that allows the belly to droop in front of it, so it doesn't have all the weight on it, as well as we have the pregnancy pillows. So pregnancy pillows are actually mom's best friend. Expecting moms just love laying on them, and we'll take an extra couple minutes at the end of the adjustment to relax there. But it's basically a pillow with a hole in the middle. And it sounds very simple, but it's pretty awesome to allow, mom to lay on her belly for the first time in a long time. And so those are the two things that we use in order to make the adjustment as comfortable as possible.
So do you actually touch their bellies or their necks, or how can you do sort of a visual?
We totally can. So the Webster technique, it starts out where you're laying on your belly, face down on the table, and we're actually checking leg length, and we're checking how the differences in the legs are changing when mom's legs are straight versus when mom's knees are bent. And we can tell where to adjust and how to adjust the sacrum or the pelvis from there, so the tailbone or the pelvis from there. And we'll also, after we adjust that, we'll take a look at the piriformis muscle, which is a muscle right in the glute area, see if there's any tension, tightness in there. Then we'll actually have mom turn over, and we check to see which ligaments and muscles are tight in the belly. So the main two areas that we look at is the psoas muscle. Now, a lot of people don't know where the psoas muscle is, but it basically connects the lower half of the body to the upper half of the body. It's on your low back vertebrae, so the bones of your low back, and it attaches down into your hip area. So we look at that muscle, and then we also look at the round ligament. And that ligament is the one that we normally feel and look to see if there's any tension along it. So yes, it's all hands-on. We're going to release some of the muscles if need be, and we're going to use a pressure hold on the ligament in order to relax them. So it's all hands-on. It's all comfortable for mom, yet she can feel it, if that kind of makes sense. So
that does make sense.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. What happens, how about if somebody comes to you and they have really bad morning sickness? Can chiropractic care help with that?
You know, I never tell somebody that chiropractic care can treat anything, but the great thing is if our scans are telling us that there's an issue going on in the nerve system that's say in the upper neck, and we're adjusting that area, and the morning sickness starts to dissipate, and the body just starts to heal and recover a little bit better than it was before, then morning sickness can subside or go away completely.
You know, I think that's great. Anytime you can balance your body, whether it's with chiropractic care, whether it's with rest or whatever it is, you know, our bodies are constantly changing, not just when you're pregnant.
Absolutely. You're a dynamic human being, right? Everything's always changing, and I mean that brings up a good point. Is why we do our scans periodically throughout care, so we can see those changes that are happening, to see how you're changing lifestyle-wise and how that's affecting your body, and how chiropractic is also affecting and changing your body. So being dynamic and being able to track how your progress is so important.
You know what, it is important, and changing. I mean, I'm willing to bet if you went into an office situation and you looked at the women as compared to the men, most of us, I won't say most, I'll say many of us, when we're working on the computer, have our shoulders up. And because women, sometimes they're a little stressed once in a while, I find for me, I hold all my stress in my neck and my shoulders, and I bet that's true for a lot of women, especially when you sit at the computer. What do you think?
I absolutely agree. I find a lot more women hold their stress in their neck and upper back, and a lot more men are holding their stress in their lower back, or their pain comes from their lower back. And I mean, it's not across the board, but you see, especially the moms who go straight from an office setting to taking care of the kids to having to run around, and it's a stressful lifestyle in general. That muscle tension and just nerve system stress is held in the upper back and in the neck, of course.
And let's even touch on this. What about the car seats? They're so heavy. Before you even put them in the car, put the baby in there, to get in and out of the car with the car seats.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I think the name says it all. I always say the car seats are meant for the car. And,
that's right.
So carry them around as for a short amount of time and as least as you can. Get the baby out of the car seat. Hold the baby when you go in to go somewhere, if it needs to be a quick trip, those kind of things. But yes, they're extraordinarily heavy, and they take a toll on not only mom, but just that position that baby is set in, and sometimes for a very long time, is not a good thing as well.
No, and it's interesting because it does make it easier, and you don't have to buy so much equipment because the seat goes into the stroller, and it does make it easier. But you're right about holding that seat, like when you go to the grocery store, or you're going in to get your dry cleaning or something. It is heavy, even though it makes it easier. What about, I don't want to put you on the spot, but the new, it's not new because this happened years ago, but baby wearing is really popular.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know baby wearing?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So baby wearing is when there's all kinds of ways to wear your baby. There's fabric, there's baby carriers, and it's called baby wearing, where moms are wearing the baby. You know, not to put it any other way. Baby is either in the front or the back, and they're getting their chores done or whatever they're going to do. That has to put a strain on mom's back or dad's back.
Yeah, absolutely. We get a lot of families in here that, regular hikers. We're up in North Peoria, so, there's a lot of hiking trails up here. And going on that weekend hike with their, maybe not newborn, but with their child, they come in that next day and go, I did it again. I went hiking with them. And, I think some of the best ways to wear the baby is on the front, especially when they're a newborn, like mom, just like baby was still there in the womb. And I think that takes the least amount of strain, and being able to use your arms for support as well when he or she is getting a little too heavy. That's important. So they're a little more convenient in the front there. Now, I've seen some crazy baby wearing recently, just like out and about. And I'm not a huge fan of those big old backpack carrier type of things, especially when they're a little too young and their spine doesn't have the curves that it needs and they haven't developed all the way. But, it is the parent's choice on what they want to do and what's most comfortable for them as well. But they don't really take into consideration how the baby needs to be sitting or laying or bundled up during childhood for developmental reasons.
That's a really good point, because there are, I've seen a few things that you can use to wear your baby, and they do actually have instructions on there, and it talks about the baby's development. I mean, especially with a very young newborn, their legs are still up. They haven't come down yet, and it's like they're in the womb, and you can't just put a baby like that on the front of you because there really isn't support, and you do need to put your hand behind their head. Even if you make this thing tight, for a brand new baby, and this is just my opinion, you know what? Whatever works in anybody's family, and I always say that on the show every week, everybody's different. Whatever works for you and keeps everyone safe and happy and loving is right. So we will be right back. Here comes the music. Stay with us.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these. Homeschooling? Have questions? Get your pen and paper ready. It's the sociable homeschooler, Vivian McNinney. Fridays at 5, 4 Central on TogiNet.com. After a handsome blue-eyed Texan fell in love with Vivian at the Victoria Station in London, she found herself at DFW Airport with a tiny suitcase and a snazzy little duffel bag. Well, 25 years later, she is now happily married to that blue-eyed cowboy. They have 4 grown children ages 24 to 18 who became willing guinea pigs when she unwittingly stumbled upon the world of homeschooling. Wildflower Academy flourished for 15 years. They survived and thrived, and you can too. Vivian will be covering a wide range of issues that face homeschoolers. What do you do with kids in the summer? How to set up your one-room schoolhouse? How obedience is paramount? And what to do with those snakes? Plus, you'll be sharing ideas and insights that she gleaned from other homeschoolers. So join us for an engaging hour with the sociable homeschooler, Vivian McNinney. Friday afternoons at 5, 4 Central on TogiNet.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, tune in every Monday night during the debut episode of Paranoia, Texas at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you will get a chance to win some very cool prizes from McDonald's, Walmart, Geek World, Red Petal Salon, and so much more. All you have to do is listen for the cue, and when you hear this music, call in. That's every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and win those cool prizes.
Is there more living for you to do? Yes. Start living inspired. Be here for Living Inspired with Tricia Goyer, Thursday afternoons at 4, 3 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Tricia will dig deep into topics that matter most to women, inspiring women to make a change in their own lives and to make a difference in the world, and maybe even deep within their own hearts. Tricia is a wife, mom, speaker, family expert, and author of 24 books. For more information on Tricia and Living Inspired, go to her website, TriciaGoyer.com. That's TriciaGoyer.com. Tricia's vision is to be the voice of hope and possibility for women of all ages. Her intention is to serve ordinary women by encouraging extraordinary things with God's help. Tricia expresses real life, real hope for real women. Is there more living for you to do? Yes. Start living inspired. Living Inspired with Tricia Goyer. Thursday afternoons at 4, 3 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. The hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I am here with my wonderful guest, Dr. Ryan Wilk from Rhino Family Chiropractic, and we're talking about adjustments in children and why you should go to a chiropractor and what happens when you get there. I am so excited to have him with me today. Before we go any further, because we're up to the last part of the show and it goes so quickly, where can my listeners find you?
Yeah, you can find us all over the place. So we're on social media. We're on Facebook at Rhino Family Chiropractic. It's spelled R-Y-N-O. It's a little play on words with my name. You can find us on Twitter. We're under Rhino Family Chiro. And on Google+, where it's Rhino Family Chiropractic as well. And then we do have a website, www.rhinofamilychiropractic.com. So it's all congruent. You should be able to find us pretty easily. We're located up in North Peoria, Arizona. So if you see a map, you'll know it's definitely us.
Hey, so I have a question. Can people send you, if they want to know anything about going to a chiropractor, can they send you a note? Because not all my listeners live in Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem. The easiest way would be to do an email, and I have, chiropractic connections all over the country. So if somebody's in, say somebody's in Chicago or somebody's in Seattle, I can find them a chiropractor anywhere around the country, pretty much. So they can email me, and that's at info, I-N-F-O, at rhinofamilychiropractic.com. And it would be awesome if they can just label it either Baby Toddler Instruction or Blythe Lipman, something like that, so I can associate it real quick. That would be great.
Well, I am one step ahead of the game because I put your information on my website, mybestparentingadvice.com, and once again, if you're not listening live, I always put the podcast under radio. It says podcast 2015. You can always listen to the show. All my shows for the last almost 6 years are on there. Anyway, during the break, we were talking about the adjustment, and you were telling me how they are really gentle.
Yes, absolutely. So with the kids, you obviously have to have a gentle means of adjusting, right? So everybody kind of thinks why would I get my child adjusted? It looks like it would be painful. It looks like it would hurt type of thing. And I get that a lot, and it's understandable because no one's really ever seen a child get adjusted. Blythe, have you seen any kids get adjusted?
No, I haven't.
Yourself?
I absolutely haven't.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of gentle means of adjusting, and we use a couple of them here at our office, and it kind of depends on the age and what they're coming in for. But we got different ways. One of them is called an activator, and it's actually an adjusting instrument. So if anybody who's listening has ever been to a chiropractor and they hear the clicking sound, that's called the activator. It's a little tool that we use to adjust, and it's awesome because you can kind of dial in how much force you want to be used, and the least amount of force you can barely feel, and it's great for the newborn. And if the instrument isn't used, you can always still do it hands-on, and instead of putting that force in like most people are used to. It's more of what we call a hold. It's a sustained pressure. And so the adjustment takes a little bit longer, but we're still adjusting that same area of the spine just with a force, or without the force, with just a pressure on that area. So it's super gentle. A lot of times babies, sometimes they don't even wake up if they're sleeping. But those are two great ways. If they're a little bit older, 3, 4 years old, we have little drop tables, and those are awesome. You don't have to get laid on the side, and it's a little bit torquey when you do that. So we have the drop tables that are awesome and are nice and gentle for those kids that are a little bit older in age.
I think, first of all, I want to say the activator, I've had that used on me many times. I've been activated many times, and it doesn't hurt. But why don't you explain what the drop table is? It doesn't mean your toddler is going to drop off the table.
No. So the drop table, basically what it is the table, it moves up just a little bit, and it's held there. And say it's the toddler's pelvis that needs to be adjusted, and you put a force with your hand into the pelvis, which drops the table slightly, and then once the table stops, the force is still going through the joint. So it creates a little adjustment without the big, large amount of force. And the kids love it. They expect the table to drop, and they think it's cool and all those kind of things. So it makes it fun to adjust them that way as well.
But let's also say, because force can be a very scary word, nobody is forcing anything that's hurtful. It's gentle. You know
Absolutely.
What? Because they use that force word also when you adjust adults, and it's really not force. It doesn't hurt. I mean, you feel so much better. So let me ask you a question. Do you have a favorite tip for expectant moms that come into the office?
A favorite tip for expecting moms? I always tell moms that it's a 9-month journey. Just to prepare and understand what's going on throughout that whole process, and that we're always here with any questions that you need. Obviously, as a chiropractor, we're focused on how the body is functioning, and sometimes moms are afraid to ask more questions. But if they ever have any questions on diet or exercise, to let us know. And that journey is an important one, and that it only comes about for this baby one time. So make it the best that you can.
That's great advice, because I always tell my parents I work with, there is no silly question, because this is something you've never done before, and there's so many changes when you're carrying a baby that there's no silly question. You just don't know. That's one of the reasons I wrote my books with the titles, Help My Baby Came Without Instructions and Help My Toddler Came Without Instructions. There aren't instructions, and everybody's different. So it really does help to ask the question. And if Dr. Ryan can't answer it, I'm sure he'll find somebody that can answer it.
Absolutely, and it happens quite often. Or, you have to get that extra insight from somebody because it's not maybe your specialty or not your expertise, but you can always do some research on it and let them know at the next visit, or you can ask that person that that is the expert on the question that they have and get back to them, because that's super important to get your information and knowledge from the most knowledgeable person that you can.
You know what? That's great advice. Many of us love the internet, and there's so much information there. But if you really have a trouble in questions and you go on the internet, if you go on 10 sites, you're going to get 10 answers. And I find when I have a question, whether it's medical or something about diet or whatever, I like to ask somebody that I know, because they can say to me, I've had this experience, and this is what's worked for me. And I'm not putting down the internet at all, because the chat rooms are great, and there are a lot of wonderful answers. And again, you have to pick what works for you. But for me, I like to ask the question.
Yes, absolutely. And kind of piggyback off of that, it's definitely important to find your answer in the environment that you like to live your life. So whether you're very medically minded or whether you're very holistically minded, natural minded, it's important to find those answers at the right place. And there's so many different places on the internet to find answers that you want to go to that environment that you are most comfortable in.
Well, what a great way to end the show. I have to say goodbye to you because we are going to end the show in just a few minutes. Thanks so much for being on. I would love to have you come on again. And you have a great rest of your day. Stay cool in the 100 degrees. It's coming fast.
Thanks
you so
much,
a lot,
Blythe.
Dr. Ryan. Take care.
Congratulations on being a grandparent.
Oh, thank you. Yay, I can't wait. Thank you. All right, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Wow, what a great guest. My neck feels better already. Anyway, next week my guest will be Connie Grunning from peanutbutterandwine.com. It will be the first Wednesday in May. I can't believe it. She's going to tell us what's hot and what's not in May. And also Jennifer Chung, she's the co-founder of Kinsights. We'll be talking all about how to store your children's health information and embracing the chaos of parenting. Like, it's not too chaotic, is it? And so much more. So mark it on your calendar. And remember, again, if you can't listen live, you can always download the podcast. And with so many babies being born this time of year and, lots of big brothers and sisters around, my books make great gifts, all kinds of tips, so hundreds of tips to help with anything, everything from traveling to temper tantrums to getting the baby to stop crying. Anyway, visit my website because I just added some more of my favorite tips, and I change them almost every week. Again, it's mybestparentingadvice.com, and I have a lot of other experts on my websites. Also, you can get my books on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and they're also on audible.com. So if you want somebody to read a quick fix for you, go to audible.com and pull up my books. Anyway, I'd like to leave you today with a little bit of humor. A mom says to her little baby daughter, "All I have to say is you'd better be this hard to get into bed when you're 18. And finally, being a parent means knowing how to unwrap a Snickers bar without making any noise. Boy, isn't that the truth? Anyway, don't forget to laugh once a day. Having little ones is so much fun. They're so uninhibited. They can always make you laugh with some of the things they do. So laugh each day. It makes you feel better, at least once a day. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of the week, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.